I was doing some running around with my mother, amongst other things. And I was speaking with my ISP again today. Yeah. Anyway, so I ran the numbers on my various followers. 5 on Ko-Fi, 354 combined on Rumble, 1 on Gander. That's the open beta I'm in. Hi, West Islander, if you're watching this. 1,199 on X. Thank you again to Scrump Monkey for the shout out that got me over 1,100. 310 on YouTube. That is a combined total of 1,869. Nice. But because it did add up to an interesting year in world events, I thought, let's have a swing through those historical events and see what we find. So, I will bring up the browser, and please ignore the off-screen ticking that you heard, because I might have clicked to something stupidly without realizing I wasn't talking to you guys, or showing it to you guys, rather. In any case, before I do that, let me do a quick chatbot check. Yeah, I figured. Okay, so we will go to this. This is a link I grabbed from Brave. I use the Avast browser when I'm doing my show because they seem to have better privacy. And also, you guys don't need to see my search history that badly. So, historical events in 1869 on this day. So today, we value your privacy. I'm willing to bet you don't. I will reject all. Thank you. This is from onthisday.com. In something called Asuncion falls to Brazil. The War of the Triple Alliance, Paraguay's capital. Oof, remember, it's English I speak. So, January 1st, War of the Triple Alliance. Paraguay's capital, Asuncion, is occupied by Brazilian forces led by General, I will never know how to pronounce that. I will say Yao de Souza da Fonseca Costa. That's a lot of Portuguese. At least I think it's Portuguese. I'm going to stick with Portuguese. Okay. January 8th, the Elegant California Theater opens in San Francisco. On the 20th, the first woman testifies before Congress. Elizabeth Cady Stanton becomes the first woman to testify before the U.S. Congress. She was a women's rights activist and an abolitionist. In 1869. I will assume that she worked against slavery before the Civil War, which I don't think was going on at the time. Just a second. When did the Civil War end? And fortunately, I live in North America, so I don't have to point out that I'm talking about the American Civil War. April 9th, 1865. Okay. So this was post the war ending. February 2nd, American industrialist James Oliver, no relation to Jamie Oliver, I hope, invents removable tempered steel plow blade. So a swappable plow blade. Big innovation. February 3rd, the Booth Theater, and maybe don't go to theaters called Booth if you're a president, at 23rd and 6th opens in New York City with a showing of Romeo and Juliet. February 5th, the world's largest alluvial gold nugget, the Welcome Stranger, is found by John Deason and Richard Oates, weighing a whopping 97.14 kilos in Molayagal, Australia. If there's Aussies in my audience watching, if you want to give me pronunciation notes, by all means, please do. February 6th, Harper's Weekly publishes the first picture of Uncle Sam with chin whiskers. February 15th, charges of treason against Jefferson Davis are dropped. He was the president of the Confederate States. Let's see. February 19th, the U.S. Assay Office in Boise, Idaho was authorized. February 20th, Tennessee Governor W.C. Brownlow declares martial law in Ku Klux Klan crisis. Today is the 16th, so I think we've just passed that, yes. 23rd, Louisiana Governor signs public accommodation laws. Okay, we'll go back now. This seems to be very Americocentric. Let's try Wikipedia so we can get some eye cancer. Let me back this off. Okay, scrolling through this, we don't care about what they would be in various Tibetan calendars, etc. 69 by topic. What was big for music in 1869? February 28th, the premiere of Brahms' Rinaldo took place in Vienna. The composer himself conducted, with the tenor Gustav Walter, a student chorus numbering 300, and the court opera orchestra. On April 3rd, Edvard Grieg's piano concerto was premiered at Copenhagen's Casino. The 25th of May, the Vienna State Opera is inaugurated with a performance of Mozart's Don Giovanni. September 22nd, Richard Wagner's opera Das Rheingold debuts at the Königlich Hof und National Theater in Munich. It is considered the approximate start date of the golden age of flamenco. Tchaikovsky completes the initial version of Romeo and Juliet, revised the next year, and I assume released in 1880. Wagner resumes work on Siegfried after a 12-year break. Act 3 has begun in March. Popular music, The Little Jug by J. Eastburn Winter. Let's have a look at that. See if we can get some lyrics. Little Brown Jug. Do we have a list of the lyrics? Here we are. My wife and I live all alone in a little log hut we called our own. She loved gin and I loved rum. I tell you what, we had lots of fun. I bet you did. Excuse me. I do apologize. Let's see for art. January 30th, Vanity Fair publishes the first of a long series of color lithographic caricatures of public figures. So, political cartoons. January 31st, the Société Libre des Beaux-Arts publishes its manifesto. May 3rd, the Royal Academy Exhibition of 1869 opens in London, held for the first time at Burlington House. July 30th, Van Gogh starts his apprenticeship with the art dealers Goupil and Sier in The Hague, in which his uncle is a partner. Gee, I wonder how he got the job. December 4th, the weekly illustrated newspaper The Graphic is first published by engraver William Lewson Thomas in London. Monet's La Grenouillère. Yeah, La Grenouillère. Let's just open that in a new tab, and this will be the last thing we'll have a look at. That's a very pretty picture. Can I full screen this? I don't think it'll get any real amount larger. It did not, so we'll just leave it there. That's a very pretty picture. La Grenouillère. I know La Grenouille is the frog. I'm going to guess this is the frog pond? Or the froggery? In any case, we'll move on to our standard Sic Semper Mentallis. And of course, that does translate to thus always to dickheads. And no, it's not classical Latin. It's modernized Latin. Call it dog Latin, if you will. Dog Latin, though, generally uses words that don't exist in Latin. So, 42 years today... Pause. There we go. Thank you. 42 years ago today was Gary Plauché Day. Yeah. Happy Gary Plauché Day. Now, I will point out, I don't support violence. I don't endorse violence, generally, for legal reasons. However, that said, sometimes a dickhead needs to catch a bullet. And we'll let this play through, and then I'll explain briefly what this is all about. For those of you who are extremely sensitive, be aware. There's a dome shot here. Why, Gary? Why? Yeah. So to give you the background, I did ask for a brief rundown. Gary Plauché shot and killed Jeffrey Doucette, the man accused of kidnapping and sexually abusing his 11-year-old son, Jody, who has appeared on the Unsubscribed podcast. Probably one of the best guests on the Unsubscribed podcast they've ever had. It's definitely worth watching. So he was shot and killed March 16th, 1984 at Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. The killing was captured on live television as Doucette, handcuffed and being escorted by police, walked past Plauché, who had been waiting in disguise near a bank of payphones. Plauché fired a single shot from close range, killing Doucette instantly. The motive was revenge for the sexual abuse and abduction of his son. Doucette, a karate instructor and trusted family friend, had groomed and molested Jody for over a year. In February '84, he kidnapped Jody, took him to a motel in California where he sexually assaulted him. After Jody was found and returned to his family, Plauché learned the full extent of the abuse and decided to take justice into his own hands. In the aftermath, Plauché was charged with second-degree murder but pled no contest to manslaughter. He received a 7-year suspended sentence, 5 years of probation, and 300 hours of community service. No prison time. I think you could account the first hour of community service to pulling the trigger. The court accepted psychological testimony that Plauché was in a temporary state of insanity due to the trauma. His actions sparked national debate on vigilante justice, with many sympathizing with his actions as a father's desperate response to unimaginable child abuse. Jody later became a sexual abuse awareness advocate and authored the memoir Why Gary Why in 2019, in which he expressed forgiveness and respect for his father. Gary Plauché died in 2014 at age 68. Okay, now, that was pretty dark, so we're going to move to something far less dark for the next piece, and then we'll get into the responses. This guy's retirement maxing. Yes, he is. And we'll blow this up full screen. Did I get the volume with it? I did, but I don't think there is any. Yeah, dude's just hanging out on a community treadmill, I'm going to assume he's rolling a cigarette. With his dogs. I mean, it's not a bad way to spend your golden years. Okay, let's get into the response section here now. My hand is having problems with the mousing today. Thumb has gone numb. Probably just a bad angle at him. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Where is that lever? There we go. I'll drop myself down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Okay. And this is still kind of happy making, so this isn't so bad. I'm just going to do a full show today. I don't think I have a lot to respond to, so moving along. That was dudes posting their L's? Just a second, let me go back. W's, okay, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think it was an L. So, from PNW Gorilla, white dude in his mid-20s just motivated the fuck out of me. That simple act of white trust really hit me. I'm not sure what these acronyms stand for. If PNW Gorilla is watching, let me know. And in the meantime, we will play this video.
Swapping in the parking lot. And he's like, oh, well, there's a core charge.
Oh, there we no. There we are. Okay, yeah, this is pretty much the whole video.
So I'm right outside O'Reilly's. And came to pick up a new battery because mine apparently shit out on me. And told old boy in there that I was swapping in the parking lot. And he's like, oh, well, there's a core charge that once you return it, you'll get the core charge back. He's like, but I'll just give it to you right now, and we'll just trust each other.
That was mighty white of him.
And here I am. I'm about to walk it back in, but it's really got me thinking of like, damn, man, like the fact that hit me so hard of, oh, we'll just trust each other. Not only trust each other, you let me borrow tools to do the job.
Now, people in the comments did point out that it is not uncommon for AutoZone, I think is the store he was shopping at, to loan you tools. However, a lot of businesses that would have normally done that have ceased to do so in what have ceased to be high-trust societies.
Hope is not lost, boys. Hope is not lost.
Yeah, right there with you, brother. Hope is not lost. And I think I did respond. Yeah, that was mighty white of old boy. Yeah. Let me have my small W. That's all. Yeah. And, you know, small wins aren't bad. Should I save this one for Fandom Friday, I wonder? I think I will. We'll put that one in Fandom Friday instead. Okay. Or at least I hope I did. In absolutely silly news, Canadian Indigenous folks have decided to start claiming the skies. No, I'm not joking. So BC Indigenous groups, this is from Jim McMurtry, but originally Alex Zoltan. Well, we'll go to Mr. Zoltan's post here. BC Indigenous groups have and are claiming Aboriginal title to the airspace. No, I'm not fucking joking. Let me pause this here. Scroll back up. Not only that, there are also some obscure legal and scholastic arguments in favor of it. I'm actually kind of low right now. Centered in the camera, it's good enough. If you've ever wondered whether these Aboriginal title claims have a limit, this would be the litmus test. Yeah. And we'll just watch the quick video here.
Some of the things these First Nations are claiming are pretty shocking. So can a First Nation block helicopters from flying over Crown land? One nation in northern BC says yes, but Transport Canada just weighed in and their answer was a hard no. What's up guys, I'm Felix Shannon and we cover Calgary news and real estate insights that actually matter. And we've been tracking Aboriginal title cases and land claims and their practical implications for months now. And this airspace claim represents one of the most expansive interpretations of Indigenous rights we've seen.
Now, I'm going to go back because I'm not sure he said expensive. I think he said expansive.
Most expansive interpretations of Indigenous rights we've seen. In July, Wilpswee Cox, calling them
the who what now?
The WWK from now on, part of the Gitxsan Nation, sent a letter to Interior Helicopters saying they were no longer allowed to fly over their territory where the nation claims Aboriginal title.
So now they're saying basically you can't even fly over our land. I can't wait to see you try that on the RCMP.
The letter stated that flights without free, prior, and informed consent.
Okay, so no search and rescue then.
Could be subject to enforcement. This isn't just theory. Ministry of Forest workers were flown into the area and were confronted by individuals claiming to represent WWK. The pilot was told he wasn't allowed in the airspace. Transport Canada responded in December, saying clearly, Canada has exclusive jurisdiction over airspace. Even if Aboriginal title is proven, airspace control is federal. No one, not even Indigenous governments, can restrict aviation without Ottawa's approval. So, what's really going on here?
It's a money grab. What the fuck else do you think it is? You go to the band, you go, hey, we'd like to have permission to fly over your land, and the band goes, pony up, white boy. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Is a test case for how far Aboriginal title can stretch. The Gitxsan Nation is invoking principles from UNDRIP, which, by the way, was legislation.
Yeah, UNDRIP is a load of shit because it completely ignores the rights of the English Indigenous in England.
Developed by the UN for Canada that no Canadians ever voted for.
That was specifically for Canadian Indigenous? Oh, that's even worse. I'd like to take this opportunity to say fuck the UN thoroughly.
Or even knew about, which requires consent for activity on traditional territory. But federal law says aviation falls under national safety regulation, full stop. For aviation companies, this ruling gives legal clarity. You don't need permission to fly over claimed land.
Can you imagine trying to tell Air Canada, Air Transat, American Airlines, Delta, all of these various carriers, Lufthansa, all of these commercial air carriers that they could no longer fly over Indigenous lands? Fuck right off.
Resource developers, it shows how complex Aboriginal title claims are becoming and what future conflicts might look like. For emergency services, helicopters can't be delayed by consent negotiations in crisis situations. For First Nations, the ruling limits how Aboriginal title can be enforced beyond the ground. So, here's the real question. Has Aboriginal title discussions gone too far if it now reaches into the sky? Or are First Nations absolutely right to demand control over everything above their land too?
No. No, absolutely not. Let's see here. I did repost this with a gif of a guy facepalming and the caption decolonizing the sky because it's just retarded. Here's the quote here. The BC Aboriginal title claims escalate upward in attempt to decolonize the sky. Yeah, that's from the Western Standard. Yeah. Fuck off. But in good news, to counter the bad news, we have this. From Latvia, who are extremely based, from Imtiaz Mahmoud, the EU's plan, accept migrants or pay €20,000 per head. Latvia's answer, get stuffed. Or, well, keep the invoice. Latvian Foreign Minister Baiba Bratzi, I assume that's the proper pronunciation, announced during the annual foreign policy debate in Parliament that Latvia will not accept any migrants under the EU Migration and Asylum Pact. She also stated that Latvia will refuse to pay the €20,000 per migrant penalty that the pact imposes on countries that decline to participate in the relocation program. Latvia has completed its border fence and stopped over 12,000 migrants from crossing into the country. Bratzi said Latvia is willing to share its border protection experience with other EU members, but will not comply with forced redistribution. Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic have taken similar positions. Based. Southern EU states like Italy, Spain, and Greece support the pact as a way to share the burden. In other words, and I'm going to make very big fun of the Mediterraneans at this point, so I do not apologize, and if you're butthurt about it, please feel free to tell me so in the comments of the video. We can't stop these people. So, people think we're bad if we stop these people, so we know we're going to stop these people. But you want to help us take care of these people that we don't want, and that you don't want, but that we can't stop because we make us look bad. I realize how much of that was actually Quebecois accent, and I do apologize to the Quebecois. I didn't mean to lump you in with the Mediterraneans. But for fuck's sakes, people. Yeah. Latvia says it will accept no EU migrants and will not pay any penalties. Fucking based. Mohammed, not welcome. If you're prepared to take the fine over the illegal, then you have read the data. Well done, you. Yeah. Net cost and rape conviction rate. Yeah. The legacy of Merkel continues to destroy Europe. I do like this one. Not sure why they have North American flags with the European shield, but I'm okay with it. Okay, let's see. What else have we got here? Iron Lady Giorgia Meloni strikes again with her bold decisions. An imam in Italy preaches that every Muslim should fight infidels. Next moment, PM Meloni personally orders his deportation. Nice. How can you pay per head when there are no heads there to count? Epilogue, yes, this is digital blackface. I'm going to throw you a follow because that's just fucking funny. And he's a mental health advocate. Okay, moving on to absolute retardation land. Yes, we're going to the UK. I know, it could have been Canada. 6 armed British police officers arrested a man named Lee yesterday at Manchester Airport as he returned to the UK from a vacation. The arrest was made due to someone reporting that they were offended by a Facebook post Lee had made about immigration. I would recommend that before you go and arrest a guy for offending someone, especially about immigration, you check the immigration status of the person making the complaint. And we're not going to watch that video. Britain is a dictatorship. True. Countries with the most arrests for online comments. Yeah. Give it time. Canada will be right up there with you. Vincent Hayden, DVM, says, "Oh, the feelings police. I got something for them. You got offended by one of my posts? Was it this one? Because I posted this one just for you." I was just following orders. Yeah, if it didn't work for them, it's not going to work for you. This meme is not available in your country. I was just following orders. I do not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Yes, Voltaire wasn't wrong there. If you're going to say that you want free speech, you cannot then look at someone and say, that's offensive, you shouldn't be allowed to say it. I have no issue whatsoever with allowing people to say things that offend me. If I take offense to it, I do one of two things. Either A, I examine my own thinking, which is generally the first thing I do, and I go, why am I offended about this? And if I believe I have a good reason to be offended, I remain offended. If I believe I don't have a good reason to be offended, I stop being offended. That's it. Looks like you've had a bit too much to think. Yeah, the Brits gave up their guns, now their government puts them in jail for Facebook posts, yeah. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. Why do you think they want to take your guns in Canada? Hunts, are we the baddies? Good afternoon, sir. We've had some complaints. You've been exercising free speech. Mrs., if you're not a stripper, fuck off. The red star seems fitting. Yeah, no doubt. Oh, geez, that's a... Oh. Ooh, that's a bad look. Okay, let's move on to something else here. We're coming to the other land of eternal retardation. Yes, this time it actually is Canada. Reporter, what do you have to say to the 108,000 people that lost their jobs over the last 2 months? Mark Carney, we provided a middle-class tax cut of $11 per month. Take it and go away. Let's see what he actually says here.
Prime Minister Carney, I just want to go back to a response you had to a question about Canadian job losses. Earlier today, you primarily talked about macroeconomics, the major Canadian job losses. Prime Minister Carney, I just want to go back to a response you had to a question about Canadian job losses. Earlier today, you primarily talked about macroeconomics, the major projects office, which is yet to actually approve the project, and some more things the government has announced that are going to be more medium to long-term projects. But what's your message to the 84,000 additional Canadians who are looking for work right now, who are worried about their bills today?
Well, the first thing is that any job loss, of course, is a challenge for the individuals, for their families. And what's important is that we're putting in place not just the measures for the long term. By the way, don't have time to go through all the elements of the premise that aren't exactly accurate there in terms of approvals and moving forward, but also that we're providing support in moving the economy forward. Here's where the Canadian economy is today. Well, we've lost jobs. We've also created...
Okay, it was only a couple of days ago you said that there was a net gain. So now you're backwalking that. Interesting. There are a lot of things you don't want to talk to Canadians about, aren't there, Mark?
Jobs. We have taken steps immediately to help Canadians in terms of the tax cut for 22 million Canadians. That is starting to take effect now. The income tax cut there, providing groceries.
You're not providing groceries. You're giving us a groceries and essentials benefit. But you're adding to the cost of groceries all the time with your fucking idiotic industrial carbon tax. All this environmental regulation, and you're not allowing us to harvest the resources from the ground. Oil, gold, etc. I bet you there are Chinese firms that are allowed to mine for gold in this country, though.
It's an essentials benefit to Canadians, so the Canadians most affected. That's a benefit that reaches...
Also, the $11 a month thing, that is the difference after the groceries and essentials benefit currently is applied. Give it a week, 2 weeks, with the price of oil climbing like it is, and that will be even less useful. Mark, you may not be aware of this, but when government attempts to pay people to survive, it fails. You need to kick the fucking immigrants out, relight the fucking fire of Canadian industry, and get us back to fucking work. Canadians, not the foreigners, not new Canadians.
Millions of Canadians, including up to about $1,400.
Yeah, okay, so you're given $1,400 over the course of a year, and groceries have climbed by $1,500. It's a wash. Of course, the next step is to do what they tried in New York. Government-run grocery stores. Good luck with that.
Over the course of a year for a family of four.
$1,400 for a family of four. Let's see, that's $250 a piece? Nope. $275. Nope. $325. 320. Nope. 350. Sorry, 350. My math's not great today. Pay no attention to the fact that I added a bunch of numbers up earlier. But $350 a person per year in a family of four. $350 that will buy a set of work boots and transit to a job, let's say 3 Well, no. If you're driving a truck, it'll buy 1 tank of gas. So you can buy the boots and the gas to get to work for your first day. Yay.
There's other measures that are coming.
Other measures are coming. We're going to sink you into a communist fucking hellhole and force you onto a UBI by making you as poor as possible. And then when you complain, we'll offer you maid. Fuck this country. Well, not this country. This guy's country. Hoping for more to be unemployed? Hoping. No, that's the plan, son. There are 2 types of Carney supporters, billionaires and idiots. Check your bank account and see which one you are. Yeah. First anniversary, Mark Carney. The deficit has doubled. Highest G7 food inflation. Second highest G7 unemployment. Home building dropped by 15%. No pipelines. Immigration system still broken. Violent crime in major cities. World leader in euthanizing citizens. So, I mean, there's some positives. Poland's president signs a new law granting 0% income tax to families with 2 or more children. 0%. That's Poland. Hungary, I think it was 4. And it was technically families, but I think it was women in Hungary. What does Carney have to say to the 108,000 people who lost their jobs? Yeah, that's what he's got to say. Yeah. Yeah, he's got the Trudeau going real good. Let's try to find something to make me smile a little more. This kind of does. From Garbage Human. This is Swiss politician Marit Schneider, who is actively campaigning to ban factory farming and decrease meat consumption. Remember, kids, being vegan is healthy. That woman looks so dried out, I don't think she can even get wet anymore. Gross. Let's have a look through the... Oh, I thought I was following Garbage Human. Futurama predicted this with the lion that only ate tofu. Yeah. I will point out, you will hear people say, my cat is a vegan. That means they're slowly starving their cat to death. Cats are obligate carnivores. Dogs, kind of omnivorous. They should have meat. Humans, omnivorous. We should have meat. Yeah. But then there's this. That's me. I'm eating twice as much meat, so a vegan out there isn't making a difference. Yeah. Vegan. I don't eat meat because I respect nature. Nature, meanwhile, doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. This is Marit Schneider. This is Marit Schneider on vegan. Holy shit. Oof. She looks like those aliens from Stargate. Jesus. Shocking. Photo of vegetarian posing with latest kill sparks outrage amongst meat eaters. Oh my god. Jesus, look at her hand. Oh, hang on. Holy shit. Fuck's sake, Skeletor, eat a cheeseburger. That's how you know people who are dedicated to shit like this are just insane. From Kevin Sorbo. Hi, Kevin. Every single time. Yeah, this is pretty funny. Lost, paid, or a combination of both, I responded to, yeah. Let's just listen to this. This is...
I know he's not a fascist, but it's more just of getting the community together to just go against...
So you'll tell lies to encourage people to hate the person you hate. Tell me again why our side doesn't use this particular tactic and thinks we're winning. Oh no, it's fine if we lose the right way, right?
A lot of people said he's not actually a fascist. So then why call him a fascist?
Well, I don't know the exact definition.
Oh, my brain. I hate this person so much. And she's one of my people. She's a ginger.
Of a fascist, so I don't know if he is or isn't a fascist.
She doesn't even know the definition of fascism, but she knows that the person she's calling a fascist isn't a fascist, but she's just against that person. So fuck that person after all. Honest to fuck.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic."
This is from 1943. That's almost 100 fucking years ago. They've been pulling this shit for so long. And it's only now that we have the internet and the instant knowledge that it gives you that we have the ability to go, you're full of shit.
And use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them.
Oh, things like the ADL and the Hope Not Hate, or the Canadian Anti-Racism Network, or whatever the fuck that thing is called. Yeah.
In the public mind...
So they're all fucking Marxists. They're all communists, socialists. Yeah, haters, anti-whites.
Constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
If you tell a lie loud and long enough, it becomes the truth. Yeah. Fuck's sakes. Decent tits on her, too. What a fucking shame. Was that misogynist of me? I'm sorry. Not really. From the People's Party of Canada, this is what diversity means in Canada in 2026. Open discrimination funded by taxpayers. And the Liberal Conservative Uniparty, Liberal Conservative, NDP, Green, Bloc Québécois. Every single person that's in fucking Parliament right now, the 343, or whatever the number is now, is nothing but traitors. They know at least 11 of them are on some other country's payroll. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. It matters not to them. The entirety of Global Affairs Canada is run by Indians. Why are we shocked we're getting flooded with fucking Indians? If the Muslims had got there first, it'd be Muslims flooding the country. If the Chinese had got there first, it'd be Chinese flooding this country. Most Canadians call it wrong. The Uniparty calls it progress. Yeah. From the National Post. Postings for government and academic jobs often openly state that straight, white men will be sent to the back of the line. What they should say is the same thing that's said in the UK. Straight white men need not fucking apply. Nothing new. This has been going on for decades. Not like this. Treaty 6 medicine chest. I don't care. Barry Semenchuk says, with politicians that want to steal jobs from whites, and especially white men and wives' children, take their money to compensate the victims. Funneling government jobs for votes. Jail the MP or MLA for 14 years. You think the criminal code applies to these people? They've added legislation to the criminal code. It doesn't matter. Anyway, this one from Valerie Ann Smith. This is fucking dark. I'll throw Valerie a follow for this. She says, the oxygen part gets me the most. The WEF wants to restrict people's access to oxygen along with water, soil, and food.
Drink, the soil, the ocean.
Evil. Definitely evil. Yeah, this is the CEO of the Institute for Sustainable Leadership, Lindsay Hooper. She claims that water, soil, and oxygen should not be infinitely accessible. She proposes classifying them as assets and placing them on a global balance sheet. I will say again, water, soil, and fucking oxygen.
Cash, financial assets, but we know that's not the only value on which our economies depend. We know that every aspect of every part of the economy is fundamentally dependent on nature, as you highlighted. The air that we breathe, the water we drink, the soil, the oceans that we need for the food that we need to consume, the minerals that we need as inputs to technology and to infrastructure. And without these forms of value, these forms of natural capital, we won't have economies. They are the fundamental...
Natural capital. It all comes back to fucking Marx. Das Kapital. It's all it was ever about. It was making everything a fucking commodity. Even your life. Fuck these people. I cannot say it loudly enough. Fuck these people. Now, that's it for most of this part of the show. Well, that's it for this part of the show. If you would like to support what I do, please do consider going over to Ko-Fi and throwing me a few bucks. I will absolutely put you in the ticker with my friends Simon JJ, Sadie Sapientier, Zenrab7, and the rest of the Orangutan Gang. Please do like, share, follow, subscribe, depending on which platform you're on. That'll be free. If you choose to subscribe to me on Rumble, I can't stop you. It's your money. Do with it as you will. But I will say I would prefer you went through Ko-Fi. Other than that, tonight I will be on Discordant Dragons with my friend Yiz the Eunuch and 3 of 12. That's the little Borg guy here. There may be other guests. I'm uncertain as yet. And I'll just close this. But you can go over to Yiz the Eunuch's channel. That is, well, I'll actually just drop the link in chat here. Oops. See, that should be right. Let me make sure that was right. Yes, okay. So that's Discordant Dragons number 220 with, well, me. Dear God. I don't know why she keeps taking the Newfoundlander on, but hey, what are you going to do? That starts at about 6 Eastern. So it'll be me, 3 of 12, and Yiz, if not more people. I do believe that's it for this part of the show, so I'm going to stop the recording here. So in that case, I will say, if you're watching in the future, thank you very much for your time. Please do continue to watch my stuff. You can find it on, over here, right there, Gab, Gander, GETTR, X. I'm still on Facebook, but I very rarely use it. I have started getting back on Discord. I don't check Discord a lot, but if you tag me, I'll see it. If you've got a story you'd like me to cover, if you've got something you'd like my opinion on, by all means, tag me anywhere that is in that list, and I will see it. Also, you can tag me on Ko-Fi. Other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.